Okay, now we have 3 episodes on transformations of functions. And the first one is for a vertical or horizontal shift, or slide you might have called it in high school. I think slide is actually a perfectly respectable name for it. If we want to move a function vertically, we can write f of x, let's see, y is equal to f of x plus some value. Let's call that b. It's a little easier to read. Okay, so that means that if we add b to, let's say, y equals x squared, and then I'll use a second color, y equals x squared plus b, where b is a positive number, it just picks the whole thing up and moves it up. And then we can also subtract b. Subtract b and move the thing vertically down. So, something I would like you to notice here, well, there are 2 things that I want to call your attention to. One is, suppose that y1 is f of x. Whatever, and the beauty of this is it works consistently for all kinds of functions, x squared, square root, you name it. So if y2 is f of x plus b, well, that's the same as y1 plus b. In other words, this addition or subtraction that we make outside the parentheses makes a change to the y values only. The x values stay precisely where they were. Okay, let's have a look at this in the Desmos grapher. So for this one I chose absolute value function. First I'm going to add 2 to the absolute value function, and it just slides straight up. Subtract 3 from it, it slides straight down. So in particular, this point 0, 0, I'm going to change the y value only when I add 2, and I get to 0, 2. Or change the y value only when I subtract 3. Here's another point on the original 2, 2. There we go. And when I add 2 to that, the 2 stays in place, the y value changes to 4. Or when I subtract 3, the y value changes to -1. Okay, straightforward, I think. Now let's talk about what it takes to produce a horizontal shift. You might suppose that if the outside parens addition or subtraction of a constant produces a vertical shift, that something inside parentheses will produce a horizontal shift and change x values. And that is in fact how it works. So horizontal shift I'm going to add or subtract a constant, and this is inside the parentheses. And when I put the addition or subtraction inside the parentheses, it makes a change to x values, but not to y values. So, suppose that we started with a graph like this one that we started with before. If I want to move it sideways, well, you might think that instead of x squared, let's call that c, that this is x squared plus c. I'm sorry, x plus c squared. It isn't. This is contrary to your expectations. To shift to the right c units, we subtract c. And then to shift to the left c units, we would add c. So that's kind of ooky, and I don't have a great explanation for it. I just did it so many times that I couldn't forget it. Let's see that at work in Desmos also. This works on any kind of function. So here I've chosen a square root, and first let's add something inside the square root. It went left rather than right when we added. Isn't that something? And now when we subtract, the whole thing moves to the right. Go figure. Okay, so I think that's about it for the vertical and horizontal shifts.